We all know how Indians migrated to different parts of the world under British, but one such migration to Africa was unpopular and we don't discuss often. An Indian diaspora is one of the largest in the world to the places like Guyana and Caribbean. In this video, we will dive deeper and explore the journey of Indians in Africa. It all started in 1860 when the first group of Indians set foot in South Africa. They weren't tourists or explorers. They were indentured laborers brought to work in the sugarcane plantations. The British, who ruled both India and parts of Africa, saw Indians as cheap labor for their colonies. They toiled for years, under tough conditions, helping build the backbone of the agricultural economy in places like South Africa, Kenya, and Mauritius. While many Indians came to Africa as indentured laborers, another wave arrived in the late 1800s to build the Kenya-Uganda Railway. This massive project required thousands of laborers, most of whom were brought in from India. But it wasn't just tough work. 500 Indian workers lost their lives, some famously killed by the man-eating lions of Tsavo. Yet, despite the dangers, many Indians stayed on in Africa after the railway was built, laying the foundation for today's vibrant Indian communities. As the years went on, many Indians moved beyond the fields and railways, becoming merchants and traders. Gujarat, especially, saw its sons and daughters migrate to Africa, bringing with them not just goods but an entrepreneurial spirit. Indian traders dominated the retail industry in places like Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. They ran shops, supplied goods, and even established banks. However, life for the Indian community wasn't always smooth. In 1972, Uganda's dictator Idi Amin ordered the expulsion of 60,000 Asians, many of whom were of Indian origin. They were forced to leave within 90 days, leaving behind businesses, homes, and their entire lives. But many returned after Amin's fall, and today they continue to play a key role in rebuilding Uganda's economy. Fast forward to today, and Indians in Africa are huge and thriving. South Africa is home to over 1.3 million people of Indian descent, the largest Indian community in Africa. Many are descendants of those first laborers brought to the sugarcane fields. From Durban to Nairobi, Indians are now doctors, lawyers, business owners, and even political leaders. They've integrated into African society, while also preserving their cultural identity, celebrating festivals like Diwali and Holi, and practicing Hinduism, Islam, and Sikhism. Indian culture has left a lasting imprint on Africa. In South Africa, for instance, the famous dish bunny chow, hollowed-out bread filled with curry, is a direct result of Indian culinary influence. And it's not just food. Bollywood movies are massively popular in places like Nigeria, where people who don't even speak Hindi are die-hard fans of stars like Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan. Interesting fact, Bollywood classics starring the famous Nargis Dutt have such a devoted following in Nigeria that some fans claim to have watched the film over a dozen times, despite not speaking Hindi. In countries like Kenya and Uganda, Indian merchants have played a huge role in shaping the local economy. They dominate industries like retail and manufacturing, and some of the biggest business conglomerates are owned by Indian families. Over time, the Indian diaspora has also blended with local African cultures. In countries like Mauritius and Reunion, Indians have created a unique Creole culture that merges French, African, and Indian influences. Interestingly, the cultural exchange between Africa and India goes both ways. In India, there's a small African origin community known as the Siddhis, descendants of African slaves brought to India centuries ago, who have mixed into Indian society while preserving their African roots. Now, we all know Mahatma Gandhi has worked in South Africa, initially moving back to India. Gandhi's early years in South Africa are marked by some controversial views and actions regarding black Africans. In his early years in South Africa, Gandhi held views that aligned with the racial hierarchies of the time. He referred to black Africans with derogatory terms like Kafirs in his writings and initially campaigned for the rights of Indians. Critics argue that Gandhi's early activism in South Africa was centered on securing rights for Indians, often at the expense of black Africans, and that he did not initially fight for racial equality for all. Despite the controversies surrounding Gandhi's early activism, the broader Indian community in Africa has played a significant role in shaping the continent's history. Over time, their struggles and contributions have blurred and forming a deep connection with the local communities. This paved the way for Indians to not only fight for their own rights, but also contribute to the shared future of Africa. Today, from laborers and merchants to politicians and entrepreneurs, Indians have left a lasting legacy in Africa. They've woven their culture into the fabric of African society while contributing to its economic growth and cultural diversity. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about the Indian diaspora in Africa, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that take you back in time.